Welcome to May's Energy Update. My name is Hayley Barkler and I am a week late. Sorry about that. I did channel it in time, however, I was visiting some family, so didn't get a chance to actually record. I don't think that's really going to impact this month's message as far as time goes, because there is a big chunk of information about time in there, so I think it's relevant for the now. Just quickly, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and feel free to share with friends and family. If you'd like to get your own personal guidance and channeled insight for your life, I do offer personal truth channel readings, and they are via donation. And if you'd like to go into the chance to win one each month, just sign up to my blog on my website, which is www.hayleybarkler.com. Okay, let's get into it. So the topics for this month is This Is Why You Came, The Race Has Begun, Dream Beyond the Shut Door, Do Not Use the Old Ways, and Time Has Fundamentally Changed. So we'll start with This Is Why You Came here, and I know many of us have an absolute knowing. It's visceral. It's undeniable that we are here on Earth right now for a certain reason, and we've known that from birth. And it's been a challenging ride for most of us to articulate that into the world, be accepted for that, and to show our true selves out there. So this is our time now, and there has been a shift, and it did come up in the April monthly update that there's this rebirth of humanity, and that was coming in that sort of middle of the month. So this has been addressed again in the May's thing, that we did shift into the new dawn as such, and that we were at this precipice, and this breaking point has passed. So now, and this is collectively, so I just want to be really clear about that. That doesn't mean everyone jumped ship and lifted up a frequency level or two. And that just means as a collective whole of humanity that there was that beginning of that rebirth has started. And I'm going to just to try and help people understand, if they're not aware of how these realities work, timelines, frequency. I do follow a lady who I highly recommend. Her name is Marina Jacobi, and I'll pop a link down below so that you can jump onto her YouTube channel. And so I'm borrowing this from her. I happened to watch her latest one last night and saw this, and I'm like, I'm gonna credit her with this and steal it, because I think it's a really sort of simplistic way to explain how realities work and consciousness works. So if we look at consciousness is the outer ring, and consciousness is the all. It encapsulates everything. You are in the middle of all of this, and this has come up in the reading, that it's like we've been in this bathtub and the dirty water's been emptying, and that's sort of what happened through that April period and that transition point. And this is what we're come through. We've been left cleansed and cleaned as the dirty water, so to speak, has drained away. So this explains this. So you're the little person in the middle, and you sit within this whole range of consciousness. You are all of it. You're part of all of it. You're connected to all of it. The lower points, or the points that are more physical, that are more attached, or physical is probably the best way to describe it, or of a lower frequency, have more of a negative undertone to their desires and their creative expression. And that is what's closest to you in a way. That's probably the best way I can describe it. And then as we sort of expand out, we have higher levels of frequency or consciousness surrounding us, and they are much more from the heart, and they are much more expanded. They are much more about collective creativity and collective ambition. So what happens to us as we sit within this soup of consciousness is that we have the ability, through meditation, through how we behave, through how we connect with nature, through inner understanding of our personalities and observation of the world around us, that we can shift into these and sort of tune into these higher frequencies. And as a result, we sort of fluctuate between all of this space at any given point in time. But the more we tune into these higher frequencies, the more we sit in that, and this negative reality, we sit above that in a way. It's still there. We don't move outside of this bubble, so to speak, but we aren't affected by it, and we don't. It doesn't present in our lives. It doesn't affect us. It doesn't attach to us. So the idea is to experience and expand ourselves into these higher levels of frequencies, so that we sort of play in these outer rings rather than the inner one. So that's consciousness as a whole, and as a whole, we have sort of shifted a little bit further out into these higher frequencies. That's that new dawn that's upon us. Okay, Marina Jacobi. So I would encourage you to just reflect back into a couple of the other energy updates. I think they sort of it sort of ties it all together as to why we are where we are in the month of May now, and it's less about the physical impacts of smile, be positive, hide away, expand out, and it's more about this collective space of new way of feeling, new way of being. But I just want to highlight February. The comments on Mother Earth is ready for expansion, and you can see how that's sort of trickled in and how we've jumped into that space for May. And also the concept of conscious time, which is about creating out of the heart, and without a sort of intended outcome, and that we get this bandwidth of joy as a result of that heart creation, and how we will create in the now. And also maybe back into January, and it talks about the limitation of time and memory-based existence, which we will touch on in this update a bit later. But they all sort of interfeed and help you understand why we are here where we are in May. Okay, so we're going to go next to the race has begun. So much like a horse race, we are out of the stables, we've done all the training, and we are running the race. And we've been told that this journey is going to take 6 to 12 months, and that, as in horse racing, we don't know the intended outcome. Horses swap around and move, and and it's not until the last 10 yards that you can really, the last 2 yards sometimes, that you can really see what's coming through. But it's about feeling excited by this race being run. It's not an endurance race, it is a sprint. That's come through very clearly, but we need to peg ourselves for victory, and enjoy that feeling of freedom and elation for sort of all the hard work that's been done to get you here. This is that crowning moment. So enjoy that, and just be aware that things are going to happen quite rapidly and shift quite quickly in this point of now. So the next topic is do not use the old ways. And this specifically relates to escapism and being told that that's a treasure no longer afforded to our people. It cannot be used as a tool for traction any longer. And what that sort of touches on is that we have this human condition that we don't really want to face the true reality of what's going on around us, consciously or subconsciously. And that default pattern of escapism, be that into our own narrative in our mind, drugs, alcohol, work, everyone has their own vices, sugar, that people escape into, being a parent, escaping into your child's life, all different ways that we escape what is actually around us and why we're here. None of that's going to stick or fly in, not just the month of May, from now on. So we are going to be bombarded by this feeling of freedom that we can't escape. So that's a great thing, but for many that will be quite confronting. What we've been tasked to do as part of that is right now, in this moment of time, tally up your life, tally up the achievements that you've made, tally up the feelings that you have right now. And when I mean tally up, write these down. Your goals, your desires, your gaping holes. What is it that right now in this point in time is you? I've done this for myself this morning, and there's some commentary about how in the way we currently live, those goals and those desires, the way we view ourselves is still sort of on this memory-based existence. It's still going to be fed from reflecting back into the past and what we want in the future. That will all be blown out of the water, we're told, moving forward. But it's sort of a nice, I guess, nice way to sort of capture everything that you're feeling right now, and that may be that you can look back at that in 6 months, 12 months time, and you'll get to see major shift in your life, and you can remember this point in time and go, wow, that's when I used to operate in the old paradigm, and this is how I'm operating now. For myself, in tallying up my own achievements, I did the usual, top, 3 or 4 of my goals and what I want to achieve. And it's very much based on, my knowledge of intended outcome, just as I've been told not to do. But anyway, but what I did notice is that when I just let that shift a bit and let the pen go, that the list of desires from my soul was so expanded, and I ended up with about 14 written down on the page, which were well beyond my thinking, well beyond this world, to be honest. No idea how or why, or no structure as to how it could possibly get there, but that is the point, and that is the energy that we've shifted into, and that is sort of like the goal in a sense. So I really encourage you to, that's fine, write down right now what it is, but if you're starting to be excited by this feeling of writing down goals, and don't let your imagination stop you, just keep writing, and it'll be interesting to see how the more current life goals align and expand into your reality versus the ones that were, I guess, a bit more crazy, a bit more way out down the track. Going into that is one of the next messages, which is dream beyond shut doors. And we're being told not to succumb to a shut door policy, that everything is a possibility as we move forth, and they mean everything. So this is very clear from then, it's not until we free ourselves mentally that we will be able to physically experience the fluidity of change upon us. And they really want us to dream far and beyond, to dream outside these laws of nature that we limit ourselves with, to dream outside the knowledge of gravitational forces. Like anything that we see as a limit right now, dream beyond that. Dream beyond that. It doesn't matter if you think you're crazy or if others think you're crazy. This is just creative inspiration. Artists don't sit there and go, I can't put blue with, green. They put blue with green. Like there's no limitation. So just let yourself go a bit wild. And that is, they're making a point that, what we understand as a collective consciousness right now is going to be so rudimentary in the time to come that it's mind-boggling to even go there. So don't let your limitations stop you from dreaming. Dream big, dream limitless, and dream always. And to give you a visual of what that looks like to help connect into this limitless dreaming is that this creative soup, the ether that's around us, the space that we occupy, is full of thought forms, and it's getting thicker and thicker. That came up in last month's energy update about inspired thought and writing those down, and that they might not be for you, they might be for others. And that's sort of what's all around us. To visualize that, and how I see that is like an expanse of pastel colors, like if you were looking at the sky as being everywhere, but it's not blue, it's all shades of pastel, and there's sort of energetic lines and sparks of light all floating around that. I encourage you, if you're meditating, just to try and hold that vision, even if you can't see that right now in our physical reality, that's floating all around us, and it's like a super highway of interconnectedness. It's very, very peaceful and very exciting, and quite cool. So I'll just leave you with this as far as this limitlessness goes. Live in the mindset that nothing is impossible and everything is expected. Hold this in your heart. There are no boundaries but those we imagine, and by thought we create. Chop them down when they appear to join you. So when we feel limited by anything in our life, be that dreaming, be that a relationship, be that our job, be that the space that we reside in, whatever that be, just physically cut those attachments, those restrictions, those walls. Now, when I say physically cut, I should say imaginatively cut. Oh, that goes. But that might be a vision of that you use scissors, a chainsaw, an axe, whatever works for you, a laser beam. But stop. It's more about that intention of stopping and going, no, I'm limiting myself here. I don't want that. I feel limited by that situation or that person. So really chop off all these limitations that are around us, and don't let ourselves be restricted. Okay, so I'm going to explain the concept of time and how it has fundamentally changed as we flipped into May. Bear with me. I've channeled some additional information on this because I personally struggle, even though I sort of have this mental understanding of the fact that we don't live in linear time as we believe, as a human collective, as a human consciousness, and the construct that we've been born into. But to explain it, I still find it a little tricky. And unfortunately, the channeling has not made it that much easier because we went into some areas of transgressional mathematics and things like that, which, yeah, I'm going to have to research a bit more myself. But let's go. We're a little human being and we want to get from point A to point B. And in our linear construct of time, that will be 2 kilometers and will take us 10 minutes. And that's how we view time and we function on time. What we're being asked is, what happens if neither were true? And instead, the elasticity of space is the only metric we need to analyze or work with. Okay, so elasticity is the ability for a body or a shape or a material to come back into its original form when a force is put on it. So if we look at space as a whole, when we put force in a particular point, it may bend into another point, but when that force is removed, it will come back. So hold that visual for a second. So as humans, we see we have to travel from point A to B. What we don't allow ourselves to see or to understand is that we are all. We are everywhere. We are everything. So if that is the case, how can we take time to move from one point to another? Because we are there in both points simultaneously, all the time, everywhere. And what it comes down to is our minds, the mastery of the mind. And this is, some people have this, and, this is where astral projection and remote viewing and things like that are, deemed these amazing gifts. But really, it's just the training of the mind or the opening of the mind to understand that we are in all points of every, you saw that map of consciousness. There is only one space. It's not that we're all in different spaces and we have to travel from here to there. It's one whole space. But it's about putting our force, our mind, our intention, our viewing into a space to be there. So those that have this mastered, at both points, there is no time between it. And as a human collective, we, that's not something that even enters our realm of thinking. We are still very limited in this need to see it, to perceive it, that we have to physically be somewhere to experience that moment. And, those of you that meditate will know that you can have and dream. You can have extremely vivid dreams, extremely vivid, visceral meditations where you come out of that space and you were there. You know you were there. You felt that experience. That's probably the best way that I can describe what they're explaining about time, and that we've had this fundamental shift in that. So this ability is going, well, it is increasing right now, and that we will see more people appear to be prophetic in what they say and do and channel and offer online, particularly because that's probably where it's going to show up the most in the beginning. But that doesn't mean they're more special, or that they've been gifted this ability. Everyone has this ability. It's just that the veil is ice thin between this perception of time as the all, and that's bleeding through quicker, so people can experience everything in a much more real way. I hope that makes some sense. Essentially, the question you should ask yourself is, how can you take time to be everywhere? And that's a good one to ponder, because if you are everywhere, why is there a need for time? I think that's probably all to touch on. It does say, sorry, and I'll just go back to this, that this portal of time has been sort of unleashed, unveiled, and this is that thinning into the reality that we're experiencing. So, we've sort of shifted up and it's lowering down, if that's probably the best way I can describe it. And that access to that ability is going to get easier and easier. But we're saying, watch how this becomes all topsy-turvy, that the space-time continuum is bleeding into this consciousness, and that's going to break down this collective entrapment that we have with time. So it's bringing back that recollection, that there is time beyond time. It's going to really connect us back into cosmic influence. It's going to connect us back into telepathy, and how we interact with planets, how we manifest, how we transform, how we use alchemy to create our lives. So it's a massive shift forward, and something that I encourage you to be aware of. See if you're becoming more psychic. Take note. Like, I can tell you, in the last 2 weeks, the onslaught of multiple digits, which is a sign for me, and some prophetic stuff that's coming through that is almost coming out my mouth before I get a chance to catch it. See if, as I say this, it's 333. See if things like that happen to you. It's really going to highlight the increase in your ability. So all I'll say to that is that this grand awakening that we've all been waiting for is upon us. Now is the time to actively orientate ourselves towards liftoff. Have a great next month. I plan to do more videos. Every month I say that and I never get there, but I'm really going to try this month. If not, it'll be next month. And I'll see you for June. Okay, see ya.